This is the Night Owls Disc Golf Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm JP.
And I'm Ben.
All right, folks, here we go. So social media shout outs, door_disc_golf, night_owl_pod, or Instagram handles, and then doordisc.com, where you can find all of your disc golf needs or wants or desires. And we will do shop updates at the end, so you'll be able to see what you can buy on the site. And we do have quite a bit that just populated or that will be populating onto the site. YouTube, we do post some videos of our podcast, and then also Casual Relief will be posted on there as well. And then we will do some fun videos, and we will be starting those here pretty soon. But with that being said, Ben, you want to take it away on Casual Relief?
So Casual Relief, just a fun break in your day. Nothing super specific, just random topics from week to week, from when we can get some stuff in. So the rest of the guys were playing. Well, I shouldn't say the rest of the guys. Matt was playing Silver Cup this week, and then Michael was on his bag. So hopefully we'll get something in this week and just adjust our recording schedule. But our last episode just came out where we talked about accessories. That's the word I wanted to go with. We talked about accessories, bags, and carts. So just things and tips and tricks and just things that we've kind of encountered from our last purchases, just things to think about. So good conversation. Hopefully we can come back with some more fun stuff in the future.
I saw the best use of a disc golf accessory this past week.
And
so we were at volleyball, and there's these lights. They're got to be like 15 to 20 feet off the ground. Somebody hit a ball. It bounced off the top of the net, like a pole on the net, and got wedged way up in between these lights. And they didn't have a ladder. So they're like, oh, how are we going to get this? Lo and behold, Joe Paulson walks up with his quick stick and pokes the ball out of the lights. I was like, yes, that is a great tool to just have in your car for any specific reason.
That is perfect. So as an update, Matt Hiatus, he did finish at 24th out of 52 at the Silver Cup. So he didn't do too bad. Looks like he averaged about 920. Probably about 930 disc golf. So he didn't do too bad. So he finished 6th over on the tournament. And that is some hard layouts because he plays...
He played red to red at Ridge, on Saturday in round 1, and then he played the Lakeside Loop on Saturday in round 2, and then today, Sunday, as we were recording this, he played Super Silver. So
yeah.
And Super Silver is a beast. It is a hard hole, or a hard layout. So that's one you see MPO play. Well, what was that? 3 years ago now? 4 years ago they played Silver.
2020.
2020. Yep. So. All right. Well, I'm going to paint a picture for you two real quick. So have you seen those? Yes, Picasso. Have you seen those robots that they like jump and like kick and like punch and like try to trip and like
they can do parkour and a bunch of stuff? Yeah.
So you've seen those, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like the humans that design these things are like really pushing the boundaries. Like, because you think like if there was a toddler walking across the ground and they were doing that same stuff, people would be pissed, right? So that's the first part of the picture that I'm painting for you. So you think about all this chat GTP stuff, like where we're just feeding it information and it's just getting smarter and smarter and like exponentially smarter day by day. So, and when I say smarter, it's collecting data and information and processing responses, blah, blah, blah. What happens if those two ever meet?
Have you ever seen the movie Ex Machina?
Yeah. Yes, I have.
That's where we're headed.
Okay.
Like it's a great sci-fi movie, but it's like the guy, gets into the social experiment of, can you tell if this is actually a cyborg or AI, like exponentially learning everything about human nature and what it does, what it feels like it's human skin.
Mm-hmm.
And then lo and behold, the movie unfolds and he's like trapped in the house. And she leaves. And yeah, that's just a crazy concept to think of about everything, just things walking among us that are artificial.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Ben?
I think that they're listening in on this, and I don't want them to hear my thoughts and then, become even more self-aware than they already are.
So there's a disclaimer. There's no part of this show that is made by artificial intelligence.
No, but the
This is all
artificial
human.
intelligence is learning and mapping, and they're listening to this right now, and I don't want them to learn all my deepest thoughts and secrets.
We should do an episode where we ask ChatGTP to create one of our episodes and just see what happens.
And just roll with it.
Just roll with
Just script one of our episodes.
Yeah, just be like, hey, talk about this, this, and this, and see what happens. But with like,
I'm for it.
That'd be kind of crazy.
I'm for it. I'm down for it. Because that's only gonna make their intelligence less. So let's do it.
I wonder if because would they come up with like a Ben's random question, or like that would just be kind of crazy to see what it would come up with.
Right.
Shop
Yeah. I wonder if
updates. Like, how would it know?
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, that would be scary if it did, though.
Yeah,
I did ask ChatGPT if Calvin Heimberg would win a major this year, and it said all it said was Calvin Heimberg is a disc golfer who is quite capable of winning disc golf tournaments. I cannot predict the future.
No. Well, he's not winning much. He's only won 2. So,
yeah. And that was a couple months ago, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so much smarter now.
Yeah.
That was like in the infancy.
Yeah, it was probably like early like Waco times.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so fun episode coming. It might end up being a Monday episode, but we'll have.
They're all Monday episodes, man.
Oh, that's right. It'll be a fun day episode. How about that? And it'll just be an extra episode we'll throw in here sometime soon, or maybe it'll be a filler episode when we can't make it, and we'll do a ChatGTP script.
It'll be a breaking case of emergency episode. It'll be recorded and then we'll just record a disclaimer. Hey, something happened. No one was available, so we broke the glass and here and here's the episode.
And watch it be our most listened to episode. All right. So that was my picture I painted. So let's talk about why we suck. So I'm going to ask you, JP, first. Why you suck?
Why do I suck? First of all, I just haven't played. Soccer season's over, so now I have time where I can hopefully get to league this week. Fingers crossed.
Oh,
yeah, we'll see.
I will actually be. I don't have anything obligated to play so I will be able to play this week.
No, but the real reason I suck is because I pulled out a Ledgestone. I just haven't played. My shoulder's kind of feeling wonky, and so I was like, yeah, I'm just not going to do it. So I emailed, Heinold and told him, he's like, well, do you want your package or do you want your money back? I was like,
package.
I took the money. I didn't want the package. All the stuff.
No, the content of the unboxing would have been worth it.
It would have been. And it would have been cool. But I mean, a ton of Discraft discs. I think it was like an AX5 grip bag. I don't know. There's a bunch of stuff. But at the time, I was like, I just want the money. Too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's why you suck.
That's why you suck. You didn't take.
That's a real reason. Yeah, that's why I suck too. But I was like, I don't throw a ton of disc. I could have just sold it, but at the time I was like, I just want my money back because I need to buy plane tickets. So I was like, I can't wait for this money to sell to like get it. So I just took it back.
That's a good thing you pulled out, because if not, you'd be in a scenario like I am right now with a pregnant wife. I was waiting for you guys to catch up on that one. All right. So with that being said, Ben, why do you suck?
I don't know. I don't know, because like since the last time that this happened, I've played one round and it was a league round and I won, and I was the only one in my division to finish under par. So
wow.
I don't know.
So you're saying you don't suck?
No, I suck. I suck because I did not field test the vanilla, and I just kind of threw it on a couple of holes, and one hole it did what it was supposed to do, and I was like, this is the greatest disc ever. And then I didn't field test it with wind conditions, and then I threw it on another hole on hole 11 at Pinecrest, and then it with wind push, and I was like, this disc, no.
Yeah, so, it's not a win fighter.
No,
it's not a win fighter.
No. So that's why I suck, breaking out new discs when I shouldn't.
Yeah. I suck. There's so many reasons, but
Just clip it right there.
yeah, I did there. Yeah. So I did play. I have played,
Ooh.
and it was kind of the same scenario, Ben. Like I played really, really well. It was I haven't played in like 3 weeks or something like that. Like actually played, like I've thrown here and there, and I just like, I murdered it. But once again, I'm trying new discs. I had the vanilla in the bag, and I'll tell you what, that is a great disc. It is a great workable disc. Like I was threading lines with that thing. I mean, and it's more stable than the numbers suggest, but still pretty glidey. Still has a bit of finish. So I'm excited about that disc. That's not the reason I suck.
We suck because we're surprised when we play well, and it's not just an expectation.
I think that's a good answer. That is a good answer. Like that whole, like, oh my goodness, how did I play so well? That's why I suck. Well, no, I think I suck just because I have no more tournaments this year. I am not going to play in another single tournament. Maybe the Fall Classic, possibly, but maybe. So that's it. That's
depends on what other side duties you are assigned for Fall Classic too.
Yeah. Well, and even that's my primary goal is to make sure that Mike's job is as seamless as possible, to make sure that he can focus on the player. So if I can do anything to help that, or if the club can do anything to help that, then that's what we'll do, And if that means that I don't throw as hard as I can for 18 holes, then I don't throw as hard as I can for 18 holes. So, and that's no problem with me. I get to see the bright, sun-shining faces of all the players.
Mm-hmm. Let's hope Fall Classic registration gets up a little earlier this year than last year.
So I did talk to Mike. There's still no plan or date of getting it up. I'll start pestering him. So hopefully it'll go up here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Our goal last year was I kind of pushed him to try to get up in July, but I know he has a lot going on, and he likes to get Camelot up before he puts up Fall Classic, but he hasn't gotten Camelot up yet. So
it's the beauty of being the state coordinator. When you have to select the box, did you get approval from the state coordinator? You just go, yeah, I'm myself.
So he just, exactly.
Do you think I should ask Mike? When you check that box, do you verbally say it out loud? Do you just to make sure?
Be like,
are you good at this?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I'm good. All right. With all that being said, Thrower Hanger Flipper, what'd you guys buy? So I'll start, actually. I got a vanilla and a fudge. I told you about that last week, but I actually was able to throw them. So I just want to reiterate that I got a vanilla and a fudge. The fudge is a judge. The vanilla is something between a beat-in Grace and a Wraith.
I thought it was kind of beastie. End of a beastie.
Oh, I think the beast is a lot less stable. Maybe a fresh champ beast.
Yeah.
Max weight. I think it's along that line.
I think it's in that grouping.
Sure, I would say so. Easy to throw.
Family. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't even put it as easy to throw. I think it's a step above easy to throw. I think it's a good, like a CD, like an old school CD1. Like the OG CD1s. It's kind of what I remember, kind of like what it feels like. Do you remember the CD1s?
I just threw the CD or the CD2.
Okay.
Which is like kind of like a lariat kind of disc.
Yeah. I would say it's less stable than the lariat, which would follow the numbering scheme. I would say it's like an old school CD1.
Okay.
Do they have CD1s out right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have them in the shop.
You have them in the shop.
I haven't thrown one.
9.5 minus 2.1, I believe.
Yeah, that would be pretty darn close.
Or 9.5 minus 1.2. I forgot what the flipping around, but something like that.
Yeah, so that's what I got. Oh, and then I got Heiser disc racks is back in stock, so I finally got the last of my Heiser disc racks. So I'm going to be able to put them all together and then change out my impromptu disc rack that I built like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Shane, you made a pretty impressive used disc rack at the shop. I think you could make something like the Heiser disc racks.
I could, but there's like a list of like 7,000 things ahead of it
Yeah.
that I should probably get done first. So
Sure.
and Hydro Disc Rack, I'll support them. Like I got the CNC and all that fun stuff. I could have done it, but they got it all finished. I don't have to worry about it. It's not on my list, so
It just snaps in.
just got to wait for them to come in.
Yeah.
Yep, it's nice. So, all right, who's next?
I bought nothing. I got nothing this week. So, yeah. Once we get to shop updates, you'll hear what I'm planning on buying. But
Okay, all right, JP.
I didn't share anything last week. I didn't get anything this week, but last week I bought a steady wild honey. That was pretty swirly and nice. So that I saw Bobby share. So I was like, ooh, FOMO. So I bought it. And that's what I got.
Yeah.
And it might be a thrower. It just might be collecting dust. I don't know. We'll see. It's pretty. I mean, I got 2 others that I throw. So
Yeah. Did you find any room on the? Yeah, if you want any collector style discs or just discs, reach out to JP because I know he wants to get rid of a lot of them. So
I do. I'm in the market to trade some stuff. I need to just create a page or something though. Like that's what I need to do. To a marketplace. We'll see.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, European Open. Who wants to take the reins on this one? And it is Monday. There are no such thing as spoilers in live sports. So earmuffs or turn it up. Well, don't turn it off. Just fast forward about 15 minutes. And you won't hear the winners.
Well, you can't even watch that. Well, I mean, you can watch it on Jomez if you have DGN because it's only available on there. But you got to wait till August, which isn't that far away. But
I think.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was able to catch a little bit of it today before church, and then that was it. I wasn't able to watch any more of it. So, all right. So we went in and let's just talk about Tatar and how utterly dominant she is. And like, she's the girl that walks in onto a playground and everybody just throws their lunch money at her because that's what she did. She just absolutely dominated.
Yeah. It's like the Larry Bird kind of situation where he walks into the 3-point, the contest is like, all right, who's coming in second? Like that situation.
Right. If there was a Chuck Norris in disc golf, it might be Kristin Tatar right now. Am I wrong?
No.
Especially in the FPO division. It's like there's a level of amazingness that is happening. I mean, and these are top of the game players aside from Paige Pierce at the present moment because she has a broken ankle that needs surgery. She won by 16 strokes. She was the only FPO player to play under at that course on the tournament. Incredible. So valiant effort by everybody else. Let's see. And who did we have in second and third? I closed it, of course.
Is it Heidi Lane? That's
what I've been trying to look for, but my page is not.
I know that Kat came in third.
Tied with Missy. And then Sarah Hookham in fifth.
So we had, Tatar, Heidi Lane, Katrina Allen, Missy Gannon tied for third with Katrina Allen. Sarah Hookham is fifth solo. And then Anela
Yeah. She's a Discmania sponsored player.
And then Ella Hansen, and then Anna Castine, Jessica Weiss, and then Henna Blumroos and Kadia Salu. There you go. So that's the top 10. But
Ben's favorite player, Rachel Turton, right now, 15th.
Yes.
I mean, I've just talked to her. We've exchanged messages. I think she's a good player. Unfortunately, when you look at the scores from the FPO this week, it's hard to really put into perspective how people are doing on the FPO side, considering a crime was just committed in that Kristin Tatar just stole everyone's money and ran away.
It's incredible. Like, it is incredible. And wasn't it actually Chuck Norris back in the day used to show up to tournaments and they would just give him the trophy? Like for reals, used to do that. They would show up and they would just hand him the trophy.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if that's for reals, but it should be.
It's like the one, Chuck Norris isms, like you can count to infinity like 5 times or whatever.
Yeah, he's counted to infinity 5 times. He doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the world down.
The world down.
All right, so on to MPO. Or is there anything you guys want to talk about with the FPO?
No, just everybody just needs to, in the FPO side, needs to take the next couple of weeks here to figure out their next move, because it's going to get hairy out there, as we talked about last week, and just take the time to check in with your sponsor and check in and put together a game plan as you return to the U.S. Or maybe, you just might not come back. There's been some
Right.
players who have said, we'll figure out our visa situation. Maybe we'll just do the Euro Tour.
I feel like that's what I think I said this last week, or maybe I said it in text. Or it's like the when there's a new president and they're like, "I'm moving out of the U.S." Like,
Yeah,
it's a lot of words, but they're still going to come back to the U.S. The Disc Golf Pro Tour, more has come out now. So the Disc Golf Pro Tour is doing their due diligence to still keep these events going, just might be in a different state or under different circumstances. But they're trying to do their due diligence not to have any of these canceled wholeheartedly and outright, but to have replacement events. So hopefully that happens, and try to minimize the impact on travel and all that fun stuff. So hopefully that works out, and hopefully it does. I mean, because to lose the FPO, I mean, we talked about this a lot. Now I would like to get your opinion if you want to give it, JP. But the travesty that it is that the FPO division is going to be at such, I don't even know what to say, what the appropriate way to say it is, but it sucks that they're not going to have the events as scheduled. There you go. Well, most of the rest of the events as scheduled. So, and hopefully Worlds isn't affected by it. So, all right, MPO. Surprise, Corey Ellis takes it down. Kind of a come from behind slightly, but I guess it was more of a we'll just give it to you between Barella and Heimberg, because Barella and Heimberg, I think, through 11 or 12 were tied for first place, and it just kind of went downhill from there. Heimberg ended up finishing 4 under, and then Barella 3 under. And Barella took a snowman, and Heimberg just kind of fell apart. Not really, just didn't really play solid. Didn't get the birdies. He was just parring. So I don't know. But Corey Ellis, Kyle Klein, Ezra Adelhold, good for him with a hurt ankle, with a bum ankle. Eagle McMahon didn't repeat, but is still there. Heimberg tied for 4th, and then 6th, Ricky Wysocki with the hot round on the last round, 11 under. Barella is at 7th. Ben Calloway, Chris Dickerson, Bradley Williams all tied for 8th. So that rounds out your top 10.
Chris Dickerson, name you haven't heard a whole lot of this season.
Mm-hmm.
Means he got on a plane
is his first
too.
time, right? Yeah,
right. Yeah, I've got kind of got over the whole flying thing. I guess.
Maybe, I mean, he could have swam. He could have took a boat.
Yeah.
It only takes like 3 weeks to get over there, so that's why we didn't see him in the tour. So yeah, nothing impressive or crazy. I mean, there are some of those things like Paul Macbeth dropping out, and I don't even know really where he was at the end of day 3.
46. Well, that's where he ended up today. Like, dropping out, he ended up in 46. I think they said when he dropped out on hole 14 due to a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Don't know when that was picked up, or if it was a thing that he thought he could play through the whole round, or.
So he heard it doing field work yesterday. After the round, he was working on some shot shaping, and that's what it had said on the broadcast is that he hurt himself doing some extra throwing and extra stuff yesterday, and tried to push through it, and then just couldn't do it.
He's getting old. Yeah, I know he made a post about it, and usually when he makes posts, he usually storms back, and then he just fell off. So I was trying to see if I could see where he was at the end of yesterday, but It just shows him as a DNF no matter what round you go to. So, yeah, so unfortunate, but it is what it is. So, anything else to say about it other than that it is one of the most spectacular courses that disc golfers get to play on, and it probably won't exist anymore because they are taking out a certain number of holes for a swimming hole that is going to go in. So next year may be potentially the last year if they win the world's bid. If not, it sounds like Nokia Finland and the Beast will probably no longer exist as it is. So that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
The other thing I was going to say was just that this was one of the most entertaining final rounds that I've witnessed in a hot minute. Just as far as like at any given time throughout the middle, there was a new leader, or somebody was tied, or something was happening. So a lot of shifting and moving. So just from a consumer standpoint, very, very fun to watch.
Right. Yep. I agree. I think it's beautiful to see those lead changes, and it's exciting, especially watching it through UDisc, to watch the leaders jump up and down on that leaderboard is pretty cool. So, go ahead, JP. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, kind of, Corey Ellis, cool for him to get his first elite / major win here. I think winning in Europe is kind of a cool situation if you're to get your first one. He was on, numerous times last year, that he was just knocking on the door and would finish in second. You see him on lead card and you're like, oh, is this his chance? This is his chance. And then, someone leapfrogs him or he just couldn't hold on. And yeah, so good win.
Agreed. All right. So do we want to jump into our picks? So we do have Mid-America, then Ledgestone. Do we want to jump into our picks and then we can get into the LSD drama?
Yeah.
All right. So because I think Mid-America also dropped their FPO field. Is that correct? No, they're in Missouri. I can't remember.
I think maybe they were keeping this one. There's only 2 Silver Series that were getting pushed down. And I don't think this was one of them.
Okay. Well, then let's just do our Ledgestone picks then. How about that?
Super duper. Okay.
Then it makes it easier. I mean, we'll have an episode between now and then, but all right. So oh my goodness. Okay. Who wants to start out with their Ledgestone picks?
I'll go.
So, okay, let's do it.
I'm going to select Richard as my winner.
Mr. Wasaki. Okay.
I'm going to pick Kyle Klein as runner up, just because I think he's been playing some really consistent disc golf lately. And then I am going to... Is Simon in this field?
I have not seen his name yet.
Let me verify that.
Yes, he is.
Then I'm picking him because I think his time off will have been rejuvenation for him to propel him.
And they are only playing Eureka Temp. All right. I will go with... I'm going to give a little love to Barella and put him in third. Then I am going to... This is hard because I'm going to try to give Aderhold second, and then Heimberg, I'm going to have him finishing on top. So Barella, Aderhold, Heimberg, yep. Interesting.
Yes. Hold on a second. I gotta see what I got. All right. Number 1, I am going to take Gannonberger. I don't want to steal that from Nick and Matt's show, but it's too good not to.
Love that they say it like a goat.
Yeah.
Why didn't he go? Real quick. Why didn't he go to Europe?
Because he's 17 and his mom didn't want to go.
He's 18.
Oh, he's 18 now?
He's an adult.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Adult.
He's an adult.
Mm-hmm.
Although I wonder at what point does it get weird that your mom still is like rocking with you on the tour? Just a side thought. You can...
Well, no, he's cruising around with Alden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean he is, but then his mom flies in and is like on the bag for like all the tournaments.
But how cool is your mom? Like,
ooh, that's a good question. How cool is your mom?
Exactly. There it is. How cool is your mom?
My mom's pretty cool.
Because if you had like Betty White out there and was your mom, like,
she's not carrying my bag.
Yeah, well, no, but if she's on tour with me, I'm cool with that. But
I don't know.
Like
my only interaction with Michelle was at LVC when I saw her, and she was having a rough time because that was like 4 days after the Prodigy lawsuit was announced, and then of course her name is the one that's public in all of these things because Gannon was a minor.
Yeah. Right. It wasn't Gannon's dad. There was just kind of like, meh, oh well. Like,
yeah, because Gannon's dad just kind of supports him, and he's not named in anything. He has just been like the co-parent that never got named in anything. Is just like along for the ride.
All right. Well,
but Gannon Burr.
All right, number 1. 2. I'm gonna take his teammate Isaac Robinson.
Mr. Robinson. All right. Are you gonna round it off with Alden Harris?
No.
Okay. Ezra Robinson.
Yeah. Here's to you, Robinsons. I'll take Calvin in 3rd. I think he stays consistent and tries to.
Calvin in 3rd?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Calvin's consistent at being a bridesmaid.
He's gonna win. I'll bet you $1.
Ooh.
What do you think?
Ooh.
$1 whole dollar.
You better sign that in a contract. Too. That's money. You got to write that down. No handshakes.
Handshake deals.
No handshake deals.
Handshake.
Well, then I'm unionizing this podcast, and I'm saying no handshake deals.
We have it recorded. I mean, that's pretty good. Like, if there's
that's
factual, verbal, and it's recorded.
Although, I guess if we take that stance, that means we can be held liable for anything we say on this podcast. And I'm not real sure we want
to. All right.
All right.
Then Joel Freeman's coming for me.
Yeah, yes, he would be. Yes, he would be. All right. Well, Nico LaCastro, Drew Gibson, man, in the early days, we were pretty hard on those guys.
Mm-hmm.
I was really hard on Nico.
Yeah. Nico has new discs out.
Yeah, and $30 a pop. You too can have a lead LSD disc. You can have a
with some herbs and spices infused into it.
Oh,
like I said, the only herbs and spices I wanted were the 11 herbs and spices from KFC.
Original recipe.
No.
Like, could you imagine? You're like, oh man, I got this sweet sage smelling, or citronelle. Like, I don't know, what would you put in it?
Citronelle would be an amazing disc.
It would, because it would keep the mosquitoes away while you're playing.
Yes, it would.
Did you guys know that KFC on Twitter follows 11 people? The 5 Spice Girls and 6 guys named Herb.
Yes. Yep. That's, by the way, brilliant. In my humble opinion. All right. Let's get into the drama. It gets all weird now. So, to be completely honest and candid, we did invite Josh Hofstra on. He was at a tournament yesterday and did not make it. So we were going to have him on yesterday. Just JP and I were going to just call him out and see what he wanted to say, or give him a platform to speak. So with that being said, we're still going to try. I'm going to reach out to him again and see if we can still get him on. But I was really hoping to have him on before we had this conversation so we could talk about what he said rather than just speculating. But with that being said, let's go ahead and speculate. What's up? And so we do have some firsthand, but we also have a whole bunch of stuff going around that is not looking great for the publicity side of Lone Star Disc. So with that, let's have a conversation about why this is happening. So I can basically name one primary cause for it. And it's the fact that they did not scale very well in their multi-level marketing.
No.
Or is
The
it the
answer's
fact
no.
that they,
No.
or people are just mad at the type of plastic or what they got as well? Like, hey, we're going to not give you.
Just let me
You
know
know.
where you want me to start and what questions you have, and I'll just go.
Dun, dun, dun.
Before Ben gets all crazy on it. There's two things. So I'll speak a little on behalf of Lone Star. So let me play this, and then you guys can be angry and say I'm wrong. So Lone Star has basically two things that they're fighting. They did not scale their growth very well. They didn't have the appropriate people in the appropriate places to control the growth and the number of mouths that they needed to feed. And figuratively, so with the growth of both of their teams, their founders team and their ranger team, they basically had a bunch of spokespeople out there that they didn't vet. That's unfortunate, but that leads that there's no other place for it to go but where it's at right now. The second thing is pivoting on certain mistakes that were made by the team managers. So there were certain things that were promised by a team manager, and unfortunately it was not appropriate to what the owner of the company wanted. So they backstepped it after giving some people this certain disc. And then they decided, nope, at this point, we can't do this because not only are we giving it to you guys, but we're all for the allotment, but we're also having to pay a royalty on it for this tournament. So they said, we're just losing money hand over fist, so let's make this change. And there was a lot of people that were not happy about it on the team. So on behalf of Lone Star, I get it. They're making the business choice. On behalf of the players, I kind of... There's two parts of me. So there's one part that says, well, you promised me a disc, a free disc, and I could choose what disc it is, except for this disc. Why? That sucks. But in the same regard, like, quit being prima donnas. Like, it's one
also
disc
not free
from a whole. Well, but it's part of the allotment, though, right?
We'll get to it.
Oh, okay.
So with that being said, that's the two that I know of. And it has created a real uproar because they have no safeguards to keep this negative publicity off of out of the public eye. They have no way to do it, and nor should they. So, and what this is reminiscent of, and this is not a Shane Hates Prodigy. This is reminiscent of the Prodigy Street Team way back in the day. In what was it, 2014 or 15? They had a lot of these issues where they grew their team so fast, they didn't live up to their end of the bargain, and they got a lot of negative press about it. And as a matter of fact, they actually had to pay. The Street Team actually had to pay to be on the Street Team for Prodigy.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of negative feelings about it. That's not the case with the Ranger team, but it's very reminiscent of that. There was also when the Trilogy team first started, which is not a Dynamic Disc sponsored team or any of the Trilogy. It's just a fan club, basically. When that first started, you had to pay for it as well. So with all that being said, I'll turn it over to someone else.
So what I'll say is, first off, Bobby on his podcast did a quick Disc Golf Answer Man when he was talking about the Cool Daddy team, and he was really just kind of breaking down what he wanted, and he had mentioned both the DD team and those things, and then also the Prodigy team. And I think that his thing that he kind of hit right on the head and called out Lone Star without really calling out Lone Star is the sense of that he was like, I don't want people to say like, I'm like, he did, but he didn't. It was like, we need people to be just really just self-aware of what's going on here. Because his whole thing is that he's like, as a disc golf community, we ran into so many issues of people being, I'm sponsored by whatever. No, you're not. You are an ambassador. You are a spokesperson. You are whatever. You are not sponsored. There's no real contract. There are contracts in that you sign that basically says, I'm not going to be a D-bag. I agree to these terms and conditions. And then, in that regard, but you are not sponsored. So I think Bobby really hit it on the head. And right now, there are, what I'll say about the Lone Star Ranger team is that you have like a couple of different camps. You have the people that are kind of in that area of like, I am sponsored by Lone Star. I am, you've got that camp that I am a Lone Star sponsored player. Then you've got the people that are really self-aware and they're just like, hey, I really love Lone Star. I like their plastic. I want to, help them out. I like throwing their stuff. And then you've got something in the middle, not so much in the middle, but then you've got a third camp of people that have been like, I liked this. I was excited for this. I am also kind of critical of what's happening here. I'm not really comfy with how things are going. So you've got people in all of these camps trying to like kind of figure it out. And right now, what I will say is just seeing this, the team that is kind of overshadowed and sort of created this weird bubble over everything on this camp is the happy-go-lucky, I'm on the Ranger team. I'm sponsored by Lone Star. And they've just created not suppressing, but they are the loudest voices on the Ranger team. And that they have created this weird environment.
So it's a weird environment because they're positive about the team that they're supporting.
So that I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying that it is like, I'm not trying to say that. I'm just saying like seeing like these, like the group chats and like the things online and these groups of that. It's just like, no, there's no dialogue happening of like, constructive of like, hey, this disc is not for me, or I didn't really like this disc. What about something like these conversations are not happening. This entire group feed is just like, Lone Star's the greatest. This team is great. Josh Hofstra, you're the man. Terry Dillard, you're the man. Like all these like weird, like it's not like there's no conscious thought of like, hey, I would really love it if Lone Star had a disc that did this for me, or like if this is coming out, or like, hey, like the Nimitz didn't really work for me. Do you guys have another suggestion? Or hey, what's the stability? Like no like disc golf conversation is happening, in my opinion, right. Like on some of this chat. Like it's like, yes, there is some of just like this tournament's going on. Like let's all get together and do this. Like there is some of that, but a lot of what I've seen is that weird energy. It's just kind of that's not, now granted that's just me personally what I had seen in that. I'm one person, one perspective.
Ben, in your estimation, would you say the negative is starting to outweigh the positive as far as people wise? Which camp is the largest?
The largest camp is the people of that are like the happy-go-lucky, just whatever Josh and Sheldon say jump, and then I say how high. Those are kind of the people that are right there, because I think the critical people are not voicing their criticism. Well, I think they have been voicing their criticism in these pages, but then it's just kind of being pushed down, and then like, they're just being like, you're just a complainer. So then like it's just not going anywhere, and then those people are taking their criticism to other platforms such as Reddit or other things. So I think that camp is growing. I think that as things have started to come out, I don't think that it's necessarily small. I think that there's a lot of people that are just kind of like along for the ride and are just like, I'm doing this for this year and then I'm just kind of done. Or there's people that are just like, there's some Ranger team people in Wisconsin that I know that are just like, hey, like I put in my best effort, but it's not worth costing me strokes. I'm going to do my best to communicate with Lone Star, but good luck to me because there's 2,400 of these people. Like, so I'm going to get lost in the shuffle of all the emails and everything coming through. So it's just like they've done like the quiet quit of like I'll use that term in quotes, like quiet quitting of the Ranger team. but I still think that there's like a good core group of people that are just in it for the right reasons, and that there are people that genuinely, I think, like I would say like a 70% of the people that are on the Ranger team are on it for the right reasons, so that they live in probably like the Texas region, or like they've have some really deep connection to Lone Star, or like, you know, all the right reasons and all the reasons you'd want to be. Like, I think that there are just genuinely like still a large number of people that are on there. However, I still think that people are allowed to be critical of these things in an effective platform, using the right channels for dialogue of things, right? Like,
Right.
you're allowed to voice your
Right.
concerns. I do, however, think that I am seeing these types of things, like of people providing some questions of like, you know, being honest, asking questions, not being like, this is sucks, this is stupid, but saying like, hey, this is my thought on these things. And then like, instead of people being like, yeah, let's talk about it, it's just like they're being pressed down by the, you should be grateful, we're all sponsored, we're all one big happy family, you should just be grateful to be a part of this, like that group coming in.
Yeah.
And like, that's a little difficult to see, because I also have had some of these same questions of that some of these people are asking, and there's probably many of other people that would want to have that conversation.
Curious at what stage, like the real problems started boiling. Like, did this start happening before they had that second wave of applications where like people like, yeah, all right, like I'm still good, and then they let the like next wave of people in, and they're like, well, this isn't feeling very exclusive. I'm not part of this
Right.
team. And then all
So
of a sudden, like all these other people are like, hey, we're on the team, check us out. And then all these people are like, well, we were here first. Like, who are you guys? Like, I don't know. Like,
Right.
that's kind of a weird situation.
So really it started in that when you submitted like sort of some paperwork, or you like did like an application, they were just kind of like a, this is what you would get. And then once you signed your contract, or once you like, I think it was like on your application of like when you did signed up, they were like, these are the things that we're outlining, this is what we're kind of thinking. You submitted your application. People kind of took that as gospel, which is, that's in and of itself, like that was grounds to change before you sign the actual contract. One of those things was like talking about like your apparel, or like what you would get. Like, some people had saw like on there that they would get a hat, which was ended up not being the case. um so I think like the timeline of the frustration is, so like there's a first wave of people that were like, hey, I thought we were going to get this, and then they were like, oh, okay, I'm not getting it, and then but then I'm cool. And then they were like, okay, this is what I'm getting, I'm going to adhere to this, and I'm fine. The next wave of frustration came out in that you were getting 4 discs per quarter, and then the first one you didn't get to pick, you just got the lariat. So people were kind of frustrated with that, that they wanted to pick their own disc. Then that was whatever. There's a big frustration amongst a lot of people that this disc was not free, and that you still had to pay shipping and handling. And Lone Star shipping and handling in the disc golf industry is some of the highest that I've ever seen, and it's partially because they don't eat any of their shipping costs. They just do it as face value. So if you live in some parts of the country, some people are paying like $16 for shipping. Like, there's some Ranger team members that live like in Maine, so pretty significant distance, and they are then essentially paying the same that they would for a disc from that Lone Star disc from another retailer. So I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the camp of just like, I thought this was exclusive, or I thought that there was going to be a vetting process. What was the point of me filling out an application when all I could have done was selected the auto box of just like name, phone number, email address, because that's all really you had to do. And then when they saw that the first round came in and it was like 1,700 people, and then the numbers started to go of like, okay, what's going on? Of when now the current Rangers team, or the team page, stands at like 2,300 people when the second wave came out. So that's a brief timeline of frustration from some folks in a very very tight nutshell.
Right. Well, and to keep in mind too, when you grow something, just getting 10 people in a room to agree, and then you put 2,400 people in a room and try to let them agree and think that everything's fair, thinks that, I mean, one of the hardest and most rewarding things about business and large groups is the people, because people are what are the hardest to convince one way or the other to get everybody on the same page. But they're also, it's the most rewarding portion of what you get to do, because you get those interpersonal relationships. You get to create, these true bonds with individuals. But that doesn't mean they're going to agree with you 100% of the time. So to imagine that people are going to be happy with everything that the Ranger team is, or that the Lone Star team is doing, is utopic. It's just not possible. And I think some of the mistakes that are being made is the trying to bend to make everybody happy. And that's always one of those things that always comes back to bite people, is you will never be able to make everybody happy. And to make these concessions, it's going to alienate a certain population of people that were happy. And you just have to say, here's what we're going to do. This is what we're sticking to. And as long as you live up to those expectations, you can't be held responsible for someone else's feelings. And that goes in life in general, but you just simply cannot be held responsible for someone else's emotions. And by the way, JP, you are disappearing as the minutes go by.
But it's kind of fun because, like, in the camera, like, you can start seeing the light of the microphone. It's like kind of fun.
Exactly. So the, I look at that. No, I do have to step back and say everything that I have seen outward from Lone Star Disc has been good. I think the way they're responding to things, the way that they're reacting to certain negativity and bullying and some of the harsh things that are happening, I feel like they're doing what they can in the best way possible. I'm sure they're still making mistakes, because when there's that many people, you're not going to make everybody happy. But according to their core values, as long as they're truly making those choices based on those core values, which they put out in the open, I think they're making good choices. I don't know if I have much else to say.
I think the biggest lesson that Lone Star has learned in this year, just in general, in all facets of their production and everything else, is that one, that they just bit off a lot more than they can chew, and that they just didn't have the right people in the right roles at the time. I think that they just needed to, I think the only advice that, and I think that if they figure this out, is that they just needed to tighten up the language on what the way that things are being given or communicated to whomever, whether that's a team member, whether that's a, whatever portion of it, because, a lot of these things is just kind of comes down to communication. One of the things that we have mentioned previously on this show was that, Ranger team members got 50% off, and these Ranger team members were ordering like 300 discs with that 50% off, and then we're like selling them off to like their stores in the area or to other people, adding a communication piece to that, up to 20 discs or something like, right? Like, just, I think that's the biggest lesson from this year, is figuring a way to over communicate on what you need to happen.
Mm-hmm. And also, it seems like some of the reactionary posts that are being put out by team managers and X, Y, and Z, they're not quite in compliance with what Terry wants. And they seem to retract. A couple things that I've seen where, like, they'll put something out and like, no, that's not what we should have done. Or maybe they were just unforeseen consequences of trying to, be very open and giving with their team. And their unintended consequence was that these discs that they didn't realize that were for this tournament, now they still have to pay royalties on top of every one of these that are sold. So, it's like all these goofy little things, like you just don't see those things sometimes. So hopefully it's a big learning curve for them. And hopefully if we can get Josh on, that he can kind of explain how some of this stuff is working out, because like I said before, I think I said it on an episode before that I think I really want to see Josh and have another conversation with him, because the growth that they're seeing is tremendous. And how are they handling it? Because I think Josh has told us a lot of stuff that we want to hear, like, it's a close, intimate team, it's family, all that stuff, that it's not a multi-level marketing scheme, that it's not a marketing, hub, but, not fooling anybody. That's exactly what street teams are. That's what teams are. Teams are there for a marketing engine. So to say that that's not the case, that's not true. And I don't know if Josh ever specifically said that, but that's kind of the intention he was trying to brush around, that was the intention of the team. But of course it is. I mean, you think about the amount of money that street team member or that these Ranger team members have to spend just to be compliant with their contract. It's only going to push their plastic. So it's brilliant. It's smart. I don't fault him at all for it. So, with that being said, I don't know. Is there anything else, JP?
I don't really have much else to say. I mean, they put out that statement on their, I'm pretty sure it was probably on the team page and the actual like discussion page, like buy, sell, trade or whatever, about, upholding core values and, attacking the bullying and everything. And hopefully, I mean, kind of goes both ways with those core values, as far as managers, team members, that sort of situation, and how they communicate and keep things open dialogue with everybody else. I don't know.
Right.
I hope so, because the last thing I'll say, and we'll wrap this up, is that a representative of their company said you should be grateful because we could have sent you X outs.
Yeah.
So like, you're right, JP. It does kind of go both ways.
Right.
So,
and I can understand the frustration when there's 2,400 people that are not happy and you feel like you're doing what's right. That's the initial reaction. It'd be like, you suck, shut up, you're ungrateful, but that's not the appropriate direction. People are people. And if there's a lot of people telling you the same thing, it's a time to kind of step back and look at yourself and say, well, I screwed up. Like, let's make it right and move forward. And hopefully we don't make that mistake again. But that's what I would say is a healthy response. What Ben said, not a healthy response, So, all right. Well, best of luck to him, and hopefully we get Josh on. And maybe we can get him this week, and we'll just do some quick random, whoever's available, we'll have a good conversation with him, and then we'll do a little analysis afterwards like we did with the last interview. So with that being said, Ben, you got a random question for us?
Yeah. If you had your own talk show, who would be your first guest? Anybody in the world, dead or alive.
We kind of do have our own talk show.
We do, but this isn't on network television.
Are you talking like behind a desk and like three chairs?
Jack Parr, Johnny Carson.
Okay. My first guest. You said fictional or not, right?
I just said dead or alive, but I suppose if you want to go fictional, you could go fictional.
Okay. Fictional or not. Okay, so here is mine, and I'm just going to name the person, and for those of you that know, is Naruto Uzumaki.
Shane's a big anime guy. He's a sneaky hidden anime guy. So again,
By the way,
if you know, you know.
Found out. Yeah, a couple of my employees found out that I was an anime guy, and they're like, "Have you watched this? Have you watched this? Have you watched this?" I was like, "Dude, I've been watching anime since I was like 16." I was like, "If you can name it, I've probably seen it."
Right.
What do you think?
I can't speak if that on that at all because I know nothing about anime.
That's interesting because obviously you have to have the person who voices him. I mean, you could kind of like do like a cool kind of like TV situation where they animate the interview and like you interview them that way. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being figurative, like I actually have to have a physical person sitting in a chair, it would not be a fictional character. I wouldn't pick somebody like Naruto Uzumaki. I would pick someone who has always really piqued my interest. I can't listen to him for a long time because his vocabulary is just ridiculous, but Gary V. I would love to sit down and just chat with Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, wow. So there you go, fictional and nonfiction. kind of both fictional characters though.
Living on YouTube and TikTok and wherever else. Huh.
Well, Ben, why don't you go while JP's thinking?
Kind of have two people in mind.
Go ahead, JP. Then, if you get two people,
Okay. I think it would be incredibly tough because he doesn't speak English. I'd want to have Messi on my show to talk to him.
He speaks enough English to take pictures with people at the Publix.
Well, yeah. Get out of here. I'm shoving kids out of the way like he wants to leave the store immediately. And then the next person I'd want to have is I think Quentin Tarantino. He's one of the reasons I kind of want to get into film school, get into directing, and like Spielberg's kind of up there, but he's one of the main reasons as far as I just want to interview him and ask him about inspirations, movies, all things. And he's done that before, but yeah.
Good choice.
He is since deceased, but my first choice would be Bourdain.
Anthony Bourdain, living without borders, right?
Yep. Just always had an admiration for him, and just in the sense of that he, kind of cut through the glamorous world of working in food and hospitality, and he was like, "This is not a glamorous glamorous industry." First to be real about it, and the fact that your head chef, the chef, was just smoking 4 darts outside before he prepped your meal. But yeah, I've always admired him, and his quote is an interesting one that you just kind of try and live by, and that your body's not a temple; it's an amusement park. Enjoy the ride.
Wow. All right. And I agree with. I like the fact that Anthony Bourdain kind of pulled back the curtain on the Wizard, like in that regard, because I've been working in the restaurant industry since I was, I think my first busing position was when I was 13, and then my first kitchen position when I was 15. And there is no more vulgar, inappropriate place than a kitchen. It's inappropriately appropriate, if that makes any sense. I mean, yes, there are places that take it too far, but it's inappropriately appropriate. Everybody's okay with it. And it's a hard life. It's a hard life. And I'm not toting, I'm not in the kitchen anymore. Like that's a reason why I'm not in the kitchen anymore on a daily basis. It's a hard life, man. It's a hard life. So kudos to all those service industry people out there.
The sacrifices that people make to get a star, too, is insane.
Oh my goodness. They're on a whole nother level.
You don't see people if you want a star. You don't see people outside of your brigade.
Yeah. As JP knows that well from the Sister Bay Cafe, his brigade that he used to.
The bowl.
Yeah, the bowl. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was your fryer line.
Yeah.
The next fryer line.
Random follow-up question to Ben's random question. Who would you guys want as your house band?
Oh, good question. Beastie Boys, because I think it's unconventional.
Yeah.
Good choices. Disturbed.
Nice. I'm going to say the Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
All 8 members, or 9 now, I think. They replaced Old Dirty Bastard at the time. So yeah. So yeah, I think having 9 other personalities on your talk show along with you would be ridiculous, but fun.
Man. What about like the Gorillas?
Ooh,
because that's like 45 people, isn't it?
It's a couple people. Yeah, they have 4 animated characters.
Yeah, but their voices change from album to album, though. It's not the same people that voice them, right? No.
It's pretty much one guy who does it all. They have like guests that come on each album and everything, but the members never really change.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, cool. Any other random question updates, backups? All right. Well, shop updates. Here we go. So that large DD custom order, it magically arrived on our doorstep Thursday and Friday. So we got everything up. So we do have custom stamps with Door Disc Golf and the county up there. They're actually pretty cool. So they're kind of the owl offset with the peninsula that we live on. And then we have the Door Disc Golf logo in the background. Kind of plays like waves in the back. So it's pretty cool. It's a busy stamp, but is a cool stamp. It's a different stamp. We got the Hexagon glitches are officially on the way. Vanillas, fudges, lotuses, and cinnamons are all on the way as well. The Discmania Vanguard is in-house. The DD1 S-Line first runs are in-house, and the Cloud Breakers are in-house. So with that being said, I don't know if there's really much else. I mean, we do still have some whale sacks, custom door disc whale sacks. And I think that's about it. Oh, and then we have a large accessory order. So kind of quick sticks, things like that are coming in as well. So any inspirational words to leave us on?
No. I was trying to think of something, but no.
JP? Nothing?
Nothing.
No, JP's too busy whittling something by candlelight over there.
I can see that. I can see that.
Setting the mood.
Yes. All right, I have one. Ready?
Okay.
If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down.
No, absolutely not. We have modern day plumbing. Flush it all.
Why you got to ruin my inspiration?
Because that's not inspirational. That is leading to bad hygiene and smells.
That's why there's vent fans.
This man's about to be a father of 3, everybody.
Speaking of,
back in the day, let me tell you about
they put in these new saunas over by Gibraltar. They're really, really cool. But they have this weird smell, and I've never seen blue saunas before. But when you go in them,
those are called a porta potty.
Those aren't saunas. Well, why do they have the liquid in there that you supposed to move around, right?
What? Oh boy!
Haven't you ever been in a porta potty in the middle of summer?
Those are not saunas. At first I thought he was being serious, and then he said they were blue, and then I caught on to the bit, and then I was like, this is not a sauna.
Personal sauna. Well, seats one.
Seats one. It has a funky smell, but it works.
Sometimes you pay extra for that.
Okay. All right. Well, deuces in the sauna, and keep it subpar. Peace out.